Hey Billy, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. I'm going to go through and talk about your delivery, sort of break it down in a few spots, and sort of talk about ways we can get a little bit more consistent, ways that we can generate a little bit more power and velocity, and just sort of see how we are injury preventive wise. If we're looking at like we're at good angles and everything. And kind of go from there. So basically, right off the bat, you got a good sort of idea, a good foundation of mechanics. It's pretty solid. I really like your extension. You're a big kid, really getting down the hill, which is good. All right. Now there's a few things that you can kind of work on as your initial setup, your initial start to your delivery, and it's basically, you're watching right as you kind of lift, you're already getting going. All right. There's a lot of guys that teach that momentum where you load up on your front side. Right as you lift, you start going. But what that does is that doesn't lead to more velocity. What that leads to is more inconsistencies with your delivery. All right, so it just kind of leads to inconsistencies. You might throw strikes every time. You might be a little wild every time. So basically what we want to try to get is a little bit more consistent with everything. And what that involves is sort of what we're doing over the rubber with our initial setup. All right, so we're going to go and we're going to stop and we're going to look at sort of a few things here at your initial setup. All right, so we're going to go and draw a box here. All right, you have a really good setup. All right, you're over your back leg. All right, so everything's good here. Now as we start to click forward here, all right, you can see right as that leg lifts up, you're dropping down, and there's the height of your knee kick right there. All right, so as you can see here, you already have started forward a little bit. All right, it's not too bad, but you can see you're dropping. All right, so we want to try to get more to a point where wherever that head's sort of locked in place, it wants to follow sort of a straight line. We don't want to go dip down and then sort of back up, which you'll kind of see as you just kind of stay down and just kind of drop down. And so basically what this does is you do good at staying over your backside. All right, you're going to get rid of that, and you can see how you're getting back here over this backside, but it's almost creating a little bit too much where you're kind of getting this angle here that really doesn't help us out a little bit. What that does is sort of leads to something that I'll show you in a little bit. But we want to try to stay a little bit taller on that back leg and try to get our weight on that inside part of that knee. We don't want to get flexion in our knee. We don't want to try to get shorter. All right, this is a pretty solid spot right here. Get this foot over that back leg a little bit more and just try to stay up and stay tall a little bit over that back side, because this is the main powerhouse of the mechanics. All right, the hip-shoulder separation. That's why a lot of pitchers always work on that core strength, that leg strength, is we got to be able to maximize our lower half. All right, pitching is all about the lower half and not that upper body. All right, so just try to stay back over the rubber a little bit longer. All right, you can still be quick to the plate from the stretch. All right, you just stay back a little bit longer and speed that leg up, but that'll help you out. Just kind of limit that movement a little bit. All right, so now as we're coming through, all right, a little bit lean's pretty good. All right, it's actually nothing too bad, but what you're going to see what happens is right here at your foot strike. So once your foot strike happens, looks like you might be getting a toe down right about here, but it's probably somewhere between this frame and next. But what you're going to see is you're going to see this back foot pop up off the ground. All right, so now you're releasing that ball with your back foot off the ground, and you can see you're releasing the ball with that head over that mid thigh. All right, you kind of think about if you're going to punch somebody, is it going to hurt them more to, if you're standing on one leg balancing, or are you going to have a little bit more power behind it if you're driving through your back leg? Same thing with pitching, is we want to try to be releasing that ball with our back foot still on the ground, so we're driving and using all that lower half. All right, so basically at this spot, all right, and all that really causes that is that sort of that rock back and that drop. All right, getting back here really isn't too bad. Roger Clemens kind of does a little bit something like that, but what he doesn't do is he doesn't drop. All right, and that sort of that drop and rock just creates that sort of that pop up early. All right. So looking at our torque hip shoulder separation again. All right, you're getting pretty good. Well, basically, we want to see that bottom box of those hips start to rotate towards that catcher before that right shoulder comes through, and you can see that sort of happening there a little bit. So that's good. All right. Another thing for that front side too is you can kind of see that front shoulder coming off just a touch early, and see that glove sort of tucked down, and we don't really see your arm anymore. All right, that's another thing with that release point over that that thigh here, is we want to try to get that glove a little bit farther out. Don't try to force it, but we still would want to see your arm somewhere in there. All right, and what that's going to do is that's going to help you get that chest down over that front foot, so you're releasing and driving through here. So at this point, we'd still want to see your back foot still on the ground, legs straight. All right, head out over that front foot. Now you're going to be picking up about another 6 or 8 inches of release point. All right, so just work on staying through that back leg a little bit more, driving out over that front foot, because you're a big kid. You want to try to release that ball as close as you can to the hitters. All right, so all that really is just sort of that rock back, that drop, and then working on that front side a little bit more, keeping it closed a little bit. We can also kind of almost see how, if you key in on your glove over here, you can kind of see it flip out towards that first base line. So you're just kind of losing that front side a little bit. It would be a lot easier to see from the front, but you're just kind of pulling a little bit early, and that's causing that release over that thigh a little bit. All right. So again, basically, it's pretty solid, nice extension. You know, you're using your legs well. Now just a matter of staying taller, staying over that back rubber a little bit more, using more of your hips, and then sort of watching that rock, and keeping that front shoulder closed. All right, those are sort of, you know, simple fixes. You know, the basis of everything, the way everything's kind of working, is a hard thing to work on, and you already got that down. All right, so now it's just a matter of just kind of getting to a point where you can repeat your delivery. You know, the quicker we are off the gate, the harder it is to repeat. All right, it doesn't matter if there's a runner on base and you just slow up a little bit. If you can't throw strikes, you're just going to walk the next guy. So just again, work on trying to stay over the rubber a little bit longer, and working on that front side. But again, everything's pretty solid, and hopefully you're going to have a great season this year. So thanks again for making it out to camp. Hopefully you had a great time. We look forward to seeing you again with ABC.